This is MCAT 2017 test paper. I'm going to discuss question 1. This is the first one. As you can see, this is quite challenging. Well, one of the good thing about it, it's just a substitution problem. So they are asking you to find out the distance d in centimeters. U is given as 3 and t is 5 whatever unit. They are not particularly worried about it. So the first thing you got to do is just replace the variables with the given data. So 3 times 5 plus 3 times t is 5 squared. So basically it's the interplay of bed mass. So if you are not familiar with those, you are going to have problem. One other thing you can identify, there are two parts of the problem. You cannot start working on plus unless you complete the work on 3 times 5 and the power and then multiplication. So basically is the brackets. I don't have a bracket. I have an exponent, which is the power. So we have a powered number, and divide, multiply, add and subtract. So if you follow the order from left to right for these ones, you will be all right. So now one thing you can do, well, I have been sort of discussing this in the classroom. Always divide your problem in sections, like do some draft working. 3 times 5, remember you don't have a calculator, so you got to be quite clear about those calculations. And then 3 times 5 squared, so you have to do the power first, this one, the power first, and then you can do the multiplication, which gives you 75. So now you are in a position to write more simplified problem, and 20 plus 75 gives you 95. Right, so although I initially started with a caution that this is going to be quite challenging, it's not that hard. But the thing is that if you do understand the priority of operation in mathematics, which is the basis of algebra, you will be fine if you understand bed mass correctly. Now let's move to this one, the second one. It's a quadratic and it's a solving, so it must be an equation. Look at that, equal sign makes it an equation. It qualifies that mathematical statement as an equation because there is an equal sign in between. See that 2x squared minus 3x minus 9 equals to 0. Now the first thing, always I emphasize do some draft work, which is factorize 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. That's the first thing we got to do, right? I did a mistake. It's a pretty silly mistake. 3 times 5 is not 20. 3 times 5 is 15. So the answer to question number 1A would be quite different, because 15 plus 75, what I believe is 90. So sorry about that. Now I am going to use this space on the right for solving the equation, solving 2x squared minus 3x minus 9 equals 0. So first of all, I'm going to factorize. This is how I am going to write left hand side, which is 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. Okay, now we have got, remember, this is a kind of harder quadratics, right? Harder quadratics, that makes it harder. So, well, different people does it in different ways. This is what we have been talking about, the cross method. Right? This is just a process. I'm going to split 2x squared into 2x. Remember, it may not work. These are trial and error. And then I'm going to observe that number 9. Do not call it 9 because this negative sign has a serious effect on that number, because you got to imagine it's a number line and negative 9 is somewhere else, sitting somewhere else. So negative 9, and I'm going to try negative 3 and 3. If I multiply these two, multiply negative 3 and 3, that will give me negative 9. And then I'm going to test whether it's going to work. Okay, how am I going to test it? I am going to look at the multiplication along the diagonal. This is the diagonal. 2x times 3, that'll give you 6x. And along that diagonal, which is going upward from left to right, I am going to multiply those, and that is going to give you negative 3x. Now if I add them together, that doesn't give you that negative 3x. So this is not going to work. One thing I can do, I can swap this. So I will simply go 2x x and then swap it and see what happens. This will give you positive 3x, this will give you negative 6x, and now if you add them together, that'll give you negative 3x, right? Which is, and compare, right? Now what I'm going to do, I'll follow the horizontal path, the top path and bottom path. And top one is 2x plus 3 See that? 2x plus 3. And the bottom path gives you x minus 3. I have factorized it, and that's not the final answer. We got to write it as an equation and complete it. Now, the easy thing to remember, it's a kind of rote learning. You simply change that sign to positive 3, so x, one of the answers will be x equals 3. Another answer will be x equals, change that sign, negative 3, and divide it over 2. Now, I have seen the urgency among the young people to convert this one, the fraction, into decimal. My advice is don't worry about it. Just leave it like that. I think, yeah, I'm almost certain MCAT people, markers, will accept it. So the answer is, this is the answer. I have solved the equation. Answers are x equals negative 3 over 2, and another answer will be x equals 3. So basically, for the quadratic, we always have two solutions. Am I right? Okay, not 100%, but that will make it complicated explanation. For the time being, I will simply give you some indication with the quadratics. Most of the time, that you will end up with two answers. If we learn deeper mathematics, we'll understand actually why that happens.